Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of I forgot the name of the show. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Bum with a Wrench. That's what I'm calling it. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Bum with a Wrench. I'm your host Daniel, and I just wanted to give you a little intro into this very first video because initially I was calling this show something else. And so all my pre-recorded videos have me calling this show by a completely different name. So, and then I found out there was another show that had a very similar name, and so obviously I'm not gonna step on anybody else's toes because I'm one word off. But so welcome. I hope you like the intro. It was kind of boring just walking around showing you the different cars. I'm about ready to get in and start working on this car. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn. You're going to have some laughs. And again, I really apologize for the audio. You'll notice the audio right now is not too bad. I'm still getting to editing and that kind of stuff, getting that down, but my mic was horrible on these first few episodes. So, hey, just, hold tight and bear with me. It'll be a couple episodes probably of bad audio. I'll try and clean it up in editing, but yes, I know there's a way to do it. But how? It's screaming at Premiere Pro is not the way to fix it, but that's how I do it. So anyways, sit back, relax, and let's get into this car right here. I introduced to you this car. This is a 1966 Ford Galaxy 500 7-liter. We talked a little bit about that car, and this is the car that I'm going to be working on a lot until it's done, at least. I've got a few more things to kind of sort of finish this car up. And at least for now, whenever you're building a project car like this, you're never done. Cars are never finished. You just have a list of tasks that you want to complete on it, and you complete those tasks. So with this car, I wanted to explain it a little bit more because on that pilot episode, we really didn't get into what this car is really. I gave you a brief overview of it basically. So this is a 1966 Ford Galaxy, and in 1966 they went ahead and decided to make the big block 428 cars and 427. Sorry, because there is a 7-liter 427, very very rare car. But they decided to make a model 7-liter. So, and it was only for 1 year. So in 1966, they built this car. Now, in this configuration, roughly there's about 8,000 of them, we'll say. And last time I checked, on record, there was little over 3,000 still exists, so we'll say 3,000. So this is one of 3,000. Now, when I acquired this car, someone else had already done the restoration work to it. They had already, worked on a majority of the entire car. Unfortunately, the restoration was, they tried hard. We'll say that. So I had to go through, this is actually the second time the front end's been off this car. The first time being that they didn't put the bushings underneath the core support, which left the whole front of the car sitting very low. So the whole car had this slant to it, like it was bent in the center. I'm not really going to get into that too much, but it kind of gives you an idea of the quality of restoration that was actually done to this car. And that person is also the person that decided to go ahead and do a lot of the stuff that you see here, like the aluminum heads, intake manifold, the serpentine belt pulley kit, some custom wiring that was done. But fortunately, what was done to this car is not something that was intrusive to the car. That's what I really believe in is if you're going to build a car and you're going to put your own little spin to it, that it shouldn't be intrusive to the car, unless that's the route you're going with. But on a rare car like this, you really want to kind of keep it in such a way that the car stays valuable. You're not, in my opinion, ruining the car by modifying things past the point of being able to go back and put it back to its stock configuration. So there's about 4 things that I am doing to this car that the owner wants to bring it up to, we'll call a finished state. So one of the things being that, the owner wanted fuel injection. So again, trying not to be intrusive onto the car, I did the sniper fuel injection. And the reason he wanted fuel injection on this car, like I shortly explained in the pilot, is that it's got a cam in it. It's really a real bear to keep running when it's cold. You got to 2-foot it. You're constantly, feeding it the onions, trying to get it to stay running. So I'm hoping that with the fuel injection, it's really going to kind of smooth that out in the beginning. And then I'm hoping to get a little bit, better fuel mileage with it, maybe a little bit more power, that kind of stuff, all the things that fuel injection will actually bring to the table. So that's going on the car. The other real big thing that he's been asking me for is the air conditioning, and that's what we're going to be working on today. And I'll go into that here in a second. I just want to touch on the 2 other things that need to be done to the car. The other thing is that this left front fender right here that you can see missing on the car. This fender has a captured nut here at the bottom in the actual rocker panel. Well, that captured nut is missing. Whether it fell out during the restoration, it was never put in, whatever the case, it's not there. And so what happens is that fender actually vibrates. And if you look closely, you can see where the fenders actually kind of touch the door. It's really hard to see because I jumped on it right away to get it fixed because I didn't want to damage the car. So I need to figure out a way, and I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do to be as least destructive as possible to get into that rocker panel and repair and replace that captured nut, so that when I put the fender back on the car, I can actually bolt it in that spot, and that fender stays nice and located like it should. One of the other cool things about this car is the person that did do the restoration thought ahead and thought, you know what, there's some really cool factory markings here. And if you take a look, you've got, this looks to be like a 41 or an A1, kind of hard to see. And then you got 1662. So we're wondering, and we don't really know for sure, if they were numbering the 7 liters as they went down the assembly line. And this is actually car 1662. And then we've got a 63D. And then down here, there's looks to be a Z and a C. Now, not really sure what all of that means. And I could probably do some digging and get into what a lot of those numbers mean. If you know what it means, please, by all means, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think about that. But I thought that was kind of neat. The person that actually did the restoration on the car left that panel in the color of the car. So this was the original color of the car, which I thought was kind of cool. That way, if you ever did want to go back to that original color of the car, you got to actually keep that part. Great idea. Something that I recommend people do, especially in the case of this car. They wanted to go with a different color, which this car is absolutely gorgeous. This is actually a Honda Prelude Red, which makes it really easy for me as far as doing repairs and touch-up paint or anything else like that. It makes it super simple. It's a factory color. I can get it, and basically everyone mixes it the same. So I need to do that. And then lastly, there's some questionable wiring that's been done to the car. Nothing that's so bad that the car's going to burn to the ground or anything else like that. But one of the things is they've got the negative battery cable here, runs down the side of the car, and then it actually it terminates to the lower control arm bolt. Now, is that going to affect anything? No. Is it going to cause a fire or anything else. No, but it's just really not right. If someone were to get underneath there, it'd be one of those kind of, what in the heck were you thinking kind of moments. And I'm not going to put the owner in that position to where people are like, well, dude, what is going on here? Even though I didn't do it, I'm going to go ahead and correct it and make it right. Now back to the air conditioning. You can see here that I've got the outer evaporator box removed. I had to get into the evaporator because I needed to evaluate the system. So basically what we've got here is we've got a 60s air conditioning met up with a modern air conditioning pump. Now, you would think, okay, well, air conditioning pump, they're all generally the same, and that is true. However, the 60s air conditioning that was actually on the car, the pump was very resilient back in those days, just like everything else. It was very durable. You could, do a lot more to this system than you could a modern day system and have it still survive. The old one would, and the new one just wouldn't. So that's what we ran into. When we first got the car, air conditioning didn't work. Everything seemed to all be there, but the pump wasn't working. So in the wanting to figure out, what was going on with the car, the pump was bad. I replaced the pump so I could further evaluate the air conditioning in the car. The air conditioning, when I replaced the pump and recharged the system, it worked for roughly 5 minutes, we'll call it, before I saw my gauges completely spike in an instant to high pressure, and then instantly blew the pump up, lost all pressures, and everything was just gone at that point. Now, whenever you blow a pump up, especially these newer pumps, you got to be really careful of debris and stuff that'll go through the system. So I already knew right off the bat that I was going to have to remove the stuff like the condenser and the evaporator. So this is the condenser out of the car. It looks to be the original or a original 60s condenser, just by basically the way it is and the way it looks. I don't see any kind of modern markings or anything else on it. So what I did, because with air conditioning, you need a very dry system. You need something that's going to, the inside, you can't put any kind of contaminants or anything in there. That'll definitely ruin an air conditioning system. So I went and got rubbing alcohol, and I flushed 4 or 5 bottles of rubbing alcohol through the system and blew it out. And let me get this out of here. This was something I rigged up so I could blow the system out, or blow all the alcohol that I put in the system out. So it's basically just some fuel line, a washer. But this is what came out of it. I haven't dumped it out yet, but I can assure you there's probably a lot of debris in there. Now you see that dark black color in the fluid. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be that dirty. So as I was doing that, as I'm blowing it out and getting this much debris coming out of it, I'm really questioning whether or not this is going to be good anymore. As I push air, just clean, I have a dryer and everything on my compressor. Clean, dry air coming out of trying to push it through. I noticed there was a restriction, a blockage in this thing. I don't know what's in there. I have no idea how old that is, but I do know that that's not going to work. You can't, one of the main things in air conditioning, you can't have blockages, can't have anything like that. So I knew right off the bat, as soon as I worked on this, that I was going to have to replace the evaporator. So this is the part that's inside the car that actually gets cold. And this part I have not tested. I have not tried to blow any fluid through it or anything else. Once you see something like that over there, I'm pretty much guaranteed that this thing is going to have a lot of debris in it. It basically needs to be replaced. If you want a good operating air conditioning system, you just got to replace it. So that's basically the system. That is, I mean, there's some other pieces to it that we'll go over. And so what I found is that the control of the system is what made it fail. On a modern air conditioning system, you have what's a high-low pressure switch. So you got a pressure switch that's going to read the system and know if the pressures are too high or too low, and turn the pump off. On this style system, what it had was it has a thermostatic switch that also has a manual control in it. And let me take you in there and into my office, and I'll show you what I did and the problem that I found. And this is really what came down to why it blew up. So give me a minute. Let me go in my office, and we'll see what's going on. Welcome back. I wanted to bring you into my office today to show you what I've been working on as far as the thermostatic switch and the way the air conditioning is actually controlled. And this is the main reason why that old classic air conditioning doesn't work with today's modern air conditioning compressors. And I'm going to go into an explanation of why that is here in a second. But first, I wanted to explain to you basically how this works and its function. Its function is to turn off the compressor when certain variables have been reached. Meaning this long tube here that sticks off of it actually sticks down into the evaporator box. And in that box, of course, it gets cold. That's where the cold air comes from. Now, this senses the cold and then goes ahead and breaks these electrical connections here. And so this would send power to the compressor. When the air conditioning system is not cold enough, this is in a closed loop. And it'll go ahead and send that power to the compressor. When this gets to the point where it says, hey, we've got too cold, we need to go ahead and shut off and kind of heat up a little bit, otherwise the pressures are going to get out of control, it breaks the connection here, the compressor turns off until this warms up enough to where it says, okay, we're good again, go ahead and turn back on. That's why in your car you'll notice, and all air conditioning compressors work that way, you'll notice that there's times where it's blowing colder air than it was before, and you can also hear that clicking going on underneath the hood as the compressor turns on and off. They call that cycling. This also has an additional feature to it. Here on the back, you can see this arm, and this arm actually breaks that connection as well. And so, you know, on a modern day car, you have a lot of computers and a lot of things that are going in there and monitoring the system and telling it when to turn on, when to turn off, depending on where you put the temperature control, or you know, if you're running defrost versus, you know, the floor, or hot or cold or whatever it is. So basically what this does is this is a mechanical way to set that as well. So as you move that temperature from cold to hot, this will actually shut the compressor off, you know, because when you're into all the way over into hot, you don't need the compressor to run. It's just going to drag down your fuel economy, your power, that kind of stuff. However, if you're in defrost mode, you do want this to be on. So this will travel almost the entire length of the hot side until that last quarter bit of it. Because if you go all the way to hot, then they know, okay, well, you want to heat it up inside the car, and you're not really looking for that defrost side of it. But if you're looking for that defrost, then you want a little bit of air conditioning. And if you listen close, you can hear it clicking. And that's right here. That clicking is happening right here at about that 3/4 mark. And then as you go all the way to full, it turns it off. So that 3/4 mark is where it's turning it on and off, and then all the way to full is going to say, hey, we don't need any air conditioning at all, go ahead and shut it off. That's important for the reason of just shutting that compressor down into full hot mode. This is actually adjustable as well. Behind this panel here in the back of there is let me get this off here for you and I'll show you. there is a little screw. I don't know if you can see that inside there, but it's just a little flathead screw. And so what you can do with that screw is you can screw it in or screw it out, and you can adjust when the compressor is going to cycle, how cold you can actually get it um, before that compressor actually turns off. Now that's important in this case because whoever actually did this car messed with that screw. And so what they've done is they put it to where basically you had to be in Antarctica before this thing would actually register that it was too cold and go ahead and shut the compressor off, which is bad, for the same reason that, the compressor blew up, because the pressures got way out of control. Again, that system doesn't monitor high or low pressure. It just monitors how cold the condenser is actually getting. So with this set so cold, the pressures went completely out of control and blew up the system. So what I'm going to add to the system as a modern flare to correct for any kind of error that I may have with this system, and that modern pump, is I'm going to add a modern high-low pressure switch. Really simple to do. I'm going to tee into the low side pressure and just put a pressure switch in line. And so I'm gonna try and hide it in such a way that it's not standing out in your face. But that low side pressure line was a custom line made for that car because of the compressor that it has anyway. So I'm not modifying anything on the car that was from its classic configuration. This will put it back into its classic configuration. This will give me the thermostatic switch. And so this will actually still work. And then most importantly, it'll give me that manual control that I need from the dashboard down to the air conditioning system. And then as a backup to completely make sure that I'm not going to have any kind of high pressures that are going to destroy the system again, I'm going to put that high-low pressure switch in there. So let's get back out to the car and get working on it. Okay, we're back out here on the car, and I've got, besides a gigantic mess going on, I know it looks crazy, but I do have quite a few projects going, so it's an organized mess, let's call it that. What I have here is the new condenser that I ordered off online, and it was hard to find. Finally tracked down a company that made it. In the beginning, I thought no one actually made any of the parts because I was really having a hard time finding any of the parts. I did track down a company that did make it, as well as the evaporator over here, as you can see. So I have a brand new evaporator, brand new condenser. And one of the things that you want to make sure you do when you're dealing with any of these parts is take a look at the instructions. And I know as guys we're like, oh, just throw that in the trash can, throw it away. Yeah, jokingly aside, take a look at the instructions. At least read through it real quick. It'll help you to install whatever product you're installing as far as the manufacturer would like. And one of the things that it says in here that I wouldn't have thought that you needed to do or should do is blow out the condenser and the evaporator with clean, dry air, just to make sure that there's no debris in it. You would think, being a brand new unit, that in the factory they would do that. And all the air conditioners I ever worked on, I never did that on any of the other products. But on their sheet, it does say to go ahead and blow it out with clean, dry air. And oil it. So they don't tell you how much oil to use. So another good reference to have around in the shop is a shop manual. Dig around online. I usually don't like using the digital versions. I like finding the original manuals are great. If you can find a reproduction, this one's a very nice reproduction for the car. Now I do have this in a 1965 because I do have a 65. 65 and 66 are very similar as far as especially things like air conditioning. They're exactly the same. So in here I'm hoping to find how much oil to actually put in the system. It is important. You don't want to over oil the system. Again, your pressures will go out of control, and that's what we're trying to prevent in doing this. So one of the things that you'll notice is this this unit is silver. It's a very weird silver too. It actually comes off on your finger, so I'm guessing it's not any kind of paint. My guess is some kind of anti-corrosion, possibly. Not really sure, but you know, this car has a very ornate grill. The grill is particular to the 7-liter, and putting a silver condenser behind that grill is going to kind of draw away from the grill. You'll notice that the old one that I showed you, wherever that, oh, that was over there, was black, blocking out the back part of it. Now, anytime you're going to black out a radiator or condenser or anything like that, you could reduce its effectiveness to do its job. So what I need to black it out. There's nothing I can do. I have to do that. Otherwise, the owner is not going to like it. You know, you got this beautiful grill in the front, and it's kind of washed away by that bright background that's coming out of it. I know I can't have it. He's going to complain. I need to do it. And being that this whatever coating is actually on here is you know, kind of comes off. I don't know if you can see that. It just kind of comes off on your fingers. My guess is it's an anti-corrosion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dust this real quick with some black, and then we'll get the receiver dryer mounted to it, because on this vehicle the receiver dryer actually mounts to the side of this, and then we'll get this back in the car. At that point, with the condenser back in the car, I can build the front end of this car and put it all back together, and at least we can get that part of it done, so the front of the car looks more complete. But I'm going to show you a trick that I use that I realize that not everyone has, but I have one. So I'm going to show you a trick I use to actually put a little bit of spray paint down and do it in such a way that works out well, and you don't have to touch it, and you can get a lot of the sides of it done all at once. So hang on while I put that together, and I'll be right back. One of the cool things about having your own shop is having tools that you normally wouldn't find in any kind of typical garage scenario. One of the cool things is this tire machine. This thing is useful for so many different reasons. I mean, other than tires, I mean, it's got a movable, rotating table. So what better place to actually, you know, sorry, that was the hair, spray paint something on all corners if you've got a table that turns around so you can get all the corners. So now in painting this, I only want to paint the side that I need to paint. Again, you could reduce its effectiveness by adding paint to it. Aluminum is great for grabbing heat and drawing it away quickly. The more paint we pack on top of that, the less effective it's actually going to be in doing its job. I do want to dust this with some black and really kind of dull down what you're going to see through the grill. So I have tons of different kinds of paints around here. One of the ones I like using the most is, let me see, I know I got a can of it laying around here somewhere. I think it's over here. Here we go. Found a can over in the corner. When you're working on Fords, Chevys, Chrysler, whatever it is you're working on, try and be a little bit you know, mindful of the color of paint that you're putting down, unless that's the color you want. With this, basically Duplicolor makes a great paint. It's fairly inexpensive. Spray paint's gotten out of control these days. But this is DE 1635. It's a Ford semi-gloss black. This is what I usually use to paint engines with, that kind of stuff. It works really well. I know there's better paints out there. Again, in the just wanting to be a little bit cost effective, because man, you can blow through some money fast with spray paint. This stuff seems to work pretty well. So Duplicar makes a great product. I think I picked this up on Summit. You can do a little research and find which part number actually is for GM and Chrysler and that kind of stuff. Look around online. The internet's a great reference for that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to dust a little bit of black paint on this, dull down that that background, and you know, whenever you're painting something, always thin coats, and basically that first coat that you put down is the most important coat that you can put on, because if you put too much and you start to get fish eyes and you start to get that kind of stuff, you're not gonna, the more coats you put down, you're not going to be able to get it to go away. And so this first coat is, to me, is like a primer almost. It's allowing that paint to really bite into the metal and give you that surface that you need to go ahead and lay down that nice, beautiful coat. So just light coats at first. As far as dry time and that kind of stuff, I really don't pay too much attention to that when I'm dealing with stuff behind the grill, stuff that you're really not going to see up close. Of course, you're always welcome to do that. Now, the fins roll this way, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the fins in this direction to get the face of the fin coated. Then I'm going to spin it the other way and do the same thing going back. Again, I'm not trying to get too crazy because I don't want to put more paint than I need to put on it. I just need to get a little bit of paint so I can dull down what's in the back there. Hey guys, I wanted to take a second here while I'm moving at hyperspeed, just to say that I realize, in editing some of these first few episodes that I am pretty wordy. I get, talking and not working enough. There's not much I can do because I don't want to really skip past the parts that I've already done to the car. So I'm going to try and edit out as much of the boring stuff as possible. But, as I make it, I do see what's going on. And so, like I said, things get better over time. But I do appreciate all of you that have stuck around to this point. The video's almost over. But thank you guys so much for all your love and support. It really means a lot. This is really kind of hard to put yourself out there to do this kind of stuff. So I do appreciate everyone. Thank you so much. And as soon as I figure out how to put music into this, then I'll go ahead and do that instead of me talking and thanking you. But thanking you is important to me, though, because you guys are the ones that make this actually possible. Like I said, I do realize that it's just basically friends and family right now, but eventually someday somebody's going to watch this. And if they make it this far in this video, that's boring to even the creator. I appreciate all of you guys. So thank you so much. And I think that'll just about do it. I'm going to go ahead and let this dry, and we'll be back. We'll attach the receiver dryer to it. Go through how much oil I actually put into the system, because this requires oil. Again, it also requires me to blow it out. I wanted to wait, even though these are capped off, until after I painted it to blow it out. Same thing with the receiver dryer. We're going to clean that up. It's already black. I'm going to put some oil in that. I'm going to put some oil in this. We'll mount the two together, and I need to switch some brackets over from the original to this one, and then we'll get it mounted back in the car and see how it looks. Thank you guys for watching. This has been definitely an up and down for me. Not sure if I even wanted to really put myself out there. It's still a little bit nerve-wracking knowing that I'm trying to do something way out of my comfort range, but I'm having a lot of fun doing it. It's quite a bit, later. You can tell by the audio and that kind of stuff that I've ironed out a few things. I'm still working on camera issues, but I really appreciate you guys sticking in there, supporting me, watching the channel. Most of it's my friends and family right now. So, thank you. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Jason and Bob and Dan. Thank all of you. And, I couldn't do really any of this without my best friend. So he really is the one who made this possible. And thank you so much. And I hope you liked the episode, and stay tuned for more. I'll try and edit as much as I can, but I do have a real job too that I have to do, so I can't just sit here all day and edit. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and for those that are not friends or family, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I plan to try harder and do better to make better content. So hang in there. Thank you so much.